Nothing wrong with a little snack. So, overdue Doctor Who review, and yes, I am admittedly going to do something a little bit weird, and instead of jumping right into the next episode, I'm instead going to talk about the mini-episode bridging Series 1 and Series 2 called Born Again. It was actually suggested by a commenter who asked whether or not I was going to do this, and initially I hadn't planned to, but then I kind of stopped and thought about it. And I do kind of want to talk about some of these mini episodes. Now, I've already figured out what ones I am and am not going to do. And I am not going to cover every single, I think it was Series 7. They had a prologue, sort of prequel little mini thing before every episode. I'm not doing any of those. I'm not going to do Attack of the Grass, Music of the Spheres. I'm not going to do any of that. Basically, and this is a completely subjective criteria, anything that is a video that if it were to be released today as part of the lead up to Doctor Who as it currently exists, would I do a video on it? If the answer is yes, then yeah, I'm going to do one here and occupy a slot for that. Plus it has the added bonus of bumping the Christmas Invasion to being in the month of December, which, that's nice. So that brings us to Born Again. Our first taste of David Tennant as the Doctor, with Christopher Eccleston now gone from the role. And it's nice. There's a number of things I like about this. I mean, it has the very thrown together in one afternoon feel that these things often tend to have, because it's completely confined to one set. They're using music that they've used before. There's actually almost no sound effects. So there's little things like that, but for what it is, it's good and it's interesting, and I do feel that the parting of the ways explained what regeneration was well enough that this sort of slightly more detailed, or more extended rather, look at what regeneration is wasn't necessary in order to understand it. So I think it does work as kind of a bonus mini thing. And it does make sense that it is Rose, even though the Doctor explained it to her before he changed, is not immediately just going to start rolling with this right off the bat. She's going to be super skeptical, especially given, as she herself says, all the stuff she's already seen. I already know the other possibilities that this could be. I'm not just going to take your word for it. And I like Tennant sort of slowing down and just sort of reaching into the past and the history that they had together. And we get our little taste of his own kind of manicness and his tendency to try and keep things light. We never stopped running. You remember hopping for our lives? Which is a cute moment. I also kind of as someone who has said repeatedly that it drives me nuts that it has now become a thing that the TARDIS either blows up or crashes with every single freaking regeneration, even if there's literally no reason for that to happen. I do like that in this, even though we go into the TARDIS crashing, and at the start of the next episode it does crash, that I like the way it gets justified here a heck of a lot better than it has been in the other instances in New Who, which is that the Doctor, as a result of the regeneration, and it makes sense him saying this regeneration seems like it's going a bit wrong, because the lead up into this, he absorbed the time vortex. I think that's justifiable, that this one feasibly could have been a little wonky and a little wrong. But I like that the reason that the TARDIS is crashing is because he has these kind of manic moments where he's like, oh, let's go faster. And he, in these moments where he is not in proper control and not completely in his right mind, whatever his new version of right mind is, because he doesn't even know at this point, is what leads him to take actions that causes the TARDIS to crash, as opposed to the TARDIS suddenly starting to crash because it's gonna crash, or blowing up because I'll get the chance as this goes on to reiterate my real irritation at this trend at this point. But I do like the way in which it is justified here much better than the other times. I think the single moment that I like best out of this is Rose asking him, can you change back? And he says, do you want me to? And without hesitation, she goes, yes. And he's just kind of not taken aback, not hurt, but just kind of, oh. And, she goes, can you? No, I can't. And then, thinking of her, do you want to leave? She says she doesn't, but he goes, well, I'm not what you signed on for anymore. And I take a lot of appreciation of that moment, both the way it's written out, and the ideas it's playing off of, and the way it's acted and portrayed. That happens about in the middle of this 5-minute or so long thing, and that is kind of the heart of this little snippet for me, because most of what's the rest of it is fine. I mean, it gives you your first vibe of Tennant's take on the Doctor, and it gives you a taste of Rose's confusion. But all of this is going to be done better in the Christmas Invasion, and certainly in more detail, get more room to breathe. But I really do love that moment of can you change back? No. Oh, no. Can you change back? Do you want me to? Yes. Well, can you? No. It's I don't know. That part just speaks to me, and to me, that moment is what makes this something worth watching, as opposed to being completely redundant in the wake of what happened in the end of The Parting of Ways and what will happen during the Christmas Invasion. If it wasn't for that moment, this might be just completely superfluous. But I really do love that moment a lot. And I think largely it's the reason to watch this. And since it's only about 5 minutes long, you can get away with watching it for only one moment. So, Am I overdoing it, giving these little mini-sodes a complete video? Maybe. But you know what? Next week we'll be in December, which means I'll get to talk about the Christmas Invasion when it is much more seasonal. And that won't happen again with the other Christmas specials because of the way the schedule will work out as I work my way through and catch up to the Day of the Doctor. So, Born Again. Have you seen it? What'd you think about it? It's free on YouTube. You can see it if you haven't before. Hope people might have checked it out, but you know what? I should have said you just go and check it out before you watch the... whatever. Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. A whole bunch of stuff to do, because there's buttons and there's links, including one to my Patreon, if you feel like supporting me that way. If you don't, there's other links to check out. Don't want to check those out? That's fine, too, because at the end of the day, folks, you're the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.